Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Intuitive Transformations radio show, where you will find tools that you can use to transform your life. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and you are listening to OMTimes Radio on IOM FM, where you will find me every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I am so very, very grateful for this show. I have enjoyed it immensely, and I have to tell you that I keep getting more and more excited about this radio show as it continues to just grow and evolve. I hope that you all have been enjoying it just as much as I have enjoyed creating it. And I wanted to let you know that I have some really incredible guests in store for you all starting next Sunday, March 22nd. I will have Christine Arillo, and she is the best-selling author of Madly in Love with Me, The Daring Adventure of Becoming Your Own Best Friend. And also, Choosing Me Before We, Every Woman's Guide to Life and Love. And Christine is going to join me to talk about her soon-to-be-released book, which she co-authored with Amy Allers, that releases on April 7th. And that book is entitled Reform Your Inner Mean Girl, 7 Steps to Stop Bullying Yourself and Start Loving Yourself. So we're going to all learn how to reform that inner mean girl. And hey, fellas, I'm sure that guys have an inner mean guy too, so we don't want to exclude you. We want you to join our show next Sunday as well. And then the following Sunday on March 29th, I have the amazing Heather Strang joining me, and she is a fellow Pacific Northwesterner. I'm in Seattle, Washington area, and she's over in the Portland, Oregon area, but it's all the Pacific Northwest. And Heather is a regular contributor for the Huffington Post, and she's the author of the book entitled The Bliss, as well as The Quest, A Tale of Desire and Magic. And The Quest is actually currently being optioned to be a full featured film. And Heather is going to share her wealth of wisdom on how to be spirit-led and live in wealth and abundance. So that's definitely a show that we can all learn more about, because I'm sure that no one is capped out on wealth or abundance here that's listening. I know I'm not, so I'm always ready for more. And then in April, although I don't have a date yet, I am so excited to say that I will have #1 New York Times bestseller author, Pam Grout, joining me. And I have to say, I came across Pam Grout's first book, E Squared, back in 2013 when it first released, and it really did actually just changed my life. It came at the perfect time, and I'll share more about that on the show when she actually is on with me. But Pam is the author of E Squared. It's 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. And she has a new book that came out, I think, end of 2014, and it's called E Cubed, 9 more energy experiments that prove manifesting magic and miracles is your full-time gig. I love the title of that. She's a fascinating woman. She travels all around the world as a travel journalist. And so I'm totally excited and stoked to have her. I have to admit that I kind of did a happy dance when no one was watching when I saw her email saying that she was all in. So we don't have a date yet, but she will be joining me, and the plan is to have that happen in April. And also in April, even though I don't have a date set yet for this as well, I will have Gary Craig join me on the air. And if you don't know anything about tapping or EFT, then you're going to want to tune in for this show. And if you know anything about EFT or tapping, then you probably know who Gary Craig is. He is the original creator of emotional freedom technique, which is all that meridian tapping that people are talking about. He is the one who first launched information out calling it emotional freedom technique, so that people could change their life significantly and dramatically. And since that time, it's evolved quite a bit. I think he launched it in 1995 and 20 years ago. So it's come quite a long way, and there's all these different things and different ways of going about it. So he's going to talk about his wealth, share his wealth of knowledge about EFT. And he's also going to share about his newest version of EFT, which is called Optimal EFT. And that's very exciting. I got a sneak peek of that yesterday when I went to the Northwest Tappers Summit over at Bastyr University in Kenmore, Washington. And Gary was one of the presenters there. And so this is an opportunity for me to share it with you listeners. This is really exciting what he's doing now. It's very cutting edge. So for those of you turning into my show for the very first time, just let me introduce myself real quick. I'm an intuitive life coach and an energy healer, and I specialize in stress reduction or stress relief. I help people identify what is blocking or holding them back in their lives, and then I help them release and remove it. I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, and I'm also an empath, and that allows me to clearly identify the root cause of whatever it is that is stressful for you in your life. And once we get to that root cause and we release it, heal it, guess what? It's not an issue anymore. So that's kind of cool. My point of view is that we create our own reality, and that the reality we experience is a result of our beliefs, thoughts, perceptions, and feelings. And when we change our beliefs, thoughts, perceptions, and feelings, our life changes and it improves. If you'd like more information about what I do, please feel free to visit my website at intuitivetransformations.net, or send me an email at sylvia@intuitivetransformations.net. So I hope you all have had a really fantastic week as we prepare to officially move into spring. And the official date for the spring, the equinox, is March 20th, which is just 5 days from now. And if you've been listening to this show, the last few shows, you've noticed that I've mentioned more than once that the energy's been kind of funky, just kind of dense, surprising, old stuff coming up to the surface. Some emotional stuff's been coming up. There are a lot of changes that are on the horizon as we are leaving an astrological alignment that's called Uranus-Pluto square. Now, I'm not an astrologer. So this is something that I just recently found out about myself, because I'm like, what is going on? And I've been searching on the internet and talking to my friends and checking in with people who are tapped into that stuff. And basically what's happened is the last 3 years, ever since 2012, how everybody was saying, oh, 2012, the Mayan calendar, all of that. Well, there was an impact. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was to herald in the end of how we have done things in the past, so to speak. And so since 2012, we've been in this Uranus-Pluto square. And I don't know about you, but for people like me, it was a pretty challenging 3 years. But I'm excited to say that we're finally emerging out of that long cycle that's been very intense for quite a few people. Lots of people having sudden illnesses in the last 3 years. Lots of people transitioning out of physical form in the last 3 years. Lots of people with financial, just a lot of changes, sudden changes, weird stuff, or things just not working how they used to work before. Well, we're done with that cycle. Hallelujah and hooray. I'm very excited about that. But just to give you a mild idea, just kind of an idea for those of you who are like, what is this Uranus Pluto square thing she's talking about? The last time this thing happened was between 1932 and it says 43, I think 43. And that was right around the time that we saw the world face a lot of upheaval. For instance, the Great Depression, the invention of the atomic bomb, and the rise of Adolf Hitler. So there was a lot of turbulence during that time. And even though we don't have something like that going on, we do have a lot of turbulence right now that's going on for a lot of us. And it all kind of started when those major shifts happened with the housing market and the bank failures and the Occupy movement, which was awesome, and the Tea Party and the awareness of the global environmental changes that's been very heightened, especially after we've had quite the winter on the East Coast. And maybe even the Midwest too, but really the East Coast got so slammed. People are starting to see that, there really is something going on environmentally that maybe we have a part in playing with, contributing with. And so even with the economic crisis, global economic crisis, there's a vast state of uncertainty that we're in right now. And I don't watch the news. It's just something I've chosen not to do because I still get it. People talk about it. I hear it when I, go out with friends, but it's just something, a personal decision I made. It's not that I have my head in the sand, but I just am very careful about what I feed my thoughts on. But we are in this kind of vast state of uncertainty with some terrorism and all of that. And so this is a time we're really going to have to make a clear choice to either choose fear or faith, and that something better is coming. For me, I'm choosing faith that something better is coming. So the key is not to allow this time of uncertainty to allow our imagination to run wildly in the wrong direction, because as we all know, fear serves no one. So we're going to go into a break briefly, and when we return, talk a little bit about the changes that are going on and also being authentically you. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. Host your show on FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to Sylvia Henderson on Intuitive Transformations radio show on FM. And before we went to the break, I was talking a little bit about this Uranus-Pluto square that we're just stepping out of. And so now that all of that old stuff has come to the surface, like I said, we had a lot of upheaval over the last 3 years. A lot of stuff coming to light that was previously submerged and hidden. And I think I even talked about this on my very first show when we were entering into 2014, that 2015, that 2014 was a 7-year, and that was a year of exposing things and spiritual truths. And this is a year of balance because it's an 8-year, and that's the infinity symbol on its side. And that's all about bringing more balance. And so even though we're coming out of this big Uranus-Pluto square, and we have all of this uncertainty, the balance that we have in this year is going to help, I believe, pull a lot of this together. The key here, though, is that we stay out of fear and that we really focus on opening up to our creative resources, tapping into inspiration to create better solutions. Because one of the things that is indicative of being in the human race is that when things are no longer working, we typically look for ways to improve it or to fix it or create better solutions. And this is a time when I believe the voice of the people on the planet that have a real sense of the fact that we are really all one, that we need to care for humanity and the planet as a whole, that voice has gotten much larger, much stronger, and much louder. And so I've just seen some really amazing insights and information coming that people are coming up with some really creative ideas of how to make things better instead of continuing down the path that we've had before. So there's a lot of change coming for sure. But if you've done a good job of letting go of what does not serve you, then congratulations. Good stuff on an individual basis is also ahead for you. And you're really going to receive it in a big way as we move further into 2015. So this is not a time to worry, not a time to be fearful or anxious. This is a time to step into more of who you are and to be more authentic, which is perfect because our topic this evening is being authentically you, right? Because it's so easy to be invisible and hide your own uniqueness and not speak your truth and not stand up for making things better and just accepting the status quo. It seems like that's so easy to do, but you have to ask yourself, is it really easy? Is it really worth disowning who you are versus being truthfully who you are? And I want you to ask yourself, what has disowning your uniqueness cost you over time? I can speak for myself. I know that in the past when I didn't feel safe enough to have a voice, and I therefore did not, I ended up in situations that were not comfortable, that were detrimental a lot of times because I was afraid of speaking my truth. I didn't know how to be authentic. I had to learn how to get there. It's a process because we're taught at a very young age to ask permission to have and be and do what you want. And so then we continue sometimes those patterns even long into adulthood before we realize, hey, I can have my own opinion. I don't have to follow the herd. I can be unique. But it takes a little bit of courage to do that. Being authentic is a little risky. It means that people will see the real you. Kind of like that scene. I don't know if you've seen Avatar, but if you haven't, it's a great movie. There's a scene in Avatar that I absolutely love because to me it says it all. And it's when, I wish I could remember the characters' names, but I can't. But if you've seen the movie, you know it. And there's a phrase that they say that captured a true connection between these two I don't know what they were called, the entities that the guy was an avatar of. And the phrase was, I see you. And they would repeat it back to each other. One would say, I see you, and the other one would look in that person's eyes and say, I see you. And what they were saying is, I see who you are. And that is a sign of true intimacy in life. People think intimacy is, confined to people who are lovers. And true intimacy is into me see. That is true intimacy. And you have to be authentic in order to have uh, allow other people to really see who you are. And that means sharing your creativity, sharing your opinions, speaking your truth. And you're doing it in confidence, not trying to protect or defend who you are. It's just being present with who you are because you've already accepted all of who you are. Being authentic is something we usually reserve for those who are closest to us, our family members. They get to see who we really are. Our longtime partners, they not only get to see who we really are, but they know about all our flaws and imperfections because we're constantly telling them all about those. But to everyone else, we think that it's a great idea to pretend to be something that we're not, pretend like we have it all together. What? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I'm perfect. There's nothing wrong with me. When deep down inside, we know that that's not true. So being authentically you doesn't mean you have to pick yourself apart. No, no, no. And I think we'll talk about that next week when I have my guest, Christina Rillo, on. But it really is about you embracing all those bits and parts of yourself that you don't think are good enough, and just you yourself owning them and accepting them. And then that allows you to show up as more of who you are with other people. Authenticity engages the vulnerability of being seen and creates, like I said, this true sense of intimacy, meaning into me see. And it allows you to unleash the power of your creative potential because creativity is a unique thing. And I'm just reminded of a gal who came in as a client one time, and she was an artist. She was an artist, and she was from Eastern Europe, very talented artist. And her dream was to paint and show her work in galleries. But she was so concerned about being judged. That was her authentic truth. Her authentic truth was, I paint beautiful pictures, portraits, and her authentic truth was, and they should be seen. They should be seen in galleries. She could sell them for thousands of dollars. But the problem was she would not even let anyone in her studio to look at her art because she was afraid of them judging it. That is a very good example of someone not being authentically them. There's a part of her that dreams it, wants it, but yet is afraid to step into that. And I want you to think about, where in your life do you have this brilliance of who you are, this dream within you that you've been inspired and gifted with, that you're refusing to be authentic about, that you're refusing to share with the world? You may have the answer to some of the problems that we're facing right now if you would only speak your truth and share it with others. But, we get concerned because that creativity is unique, it's different, and it could be judged. And that's one of the things that I think people are most afraid of is being judged by other people. And mostly it's because we're so busy judging ourselves. So the importance of being authentic cannot be understated. It takes real courage to bravely be who you are. You have to know that who you are authentically matters more than fitting in with the status quo. You have to know and accept that expressing your truth, either through speech, through action, or opinion, or point of view, whether it's accepted or not, still needs to be expressed. And it takes true guts to share your thoughts without the fear of being judged and what others will think. But trust me, the rewards are so rich and they're gratifying and long-standing. And once you actually accept who you are, love who you are, that part of you that you don't think is, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to say it exactly right, or maybe I can't do it exactly like someone else. If you're comparing yourself to someone, it's not about that. It's about being authentic. People who are authentic don't compare themselves with others. Knowing who you are and being who you are is the only reason you were born. Carl G. Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. It is a privilege to just be you. It's not about being great. It's not about being highly visible. It's not about doing something fantastic. It's just about being who you are. There is so much greatness just in that. Yet many people, especially women, hate to pick on us as a gender, but we give that privilege away because we're concerned about not being liked or accepted. And that might show up in something as really, really simple and minute as when going out to dinner with some new friends, being asked, where would you like to eat? And replying that it doesn't matter, when deep down inside there is this wonderful restaurant you want to go to, but because the restaurant is clear across town and this new friend is driving, you don't want to be an inconvenience, so you pretend like you don't have an opinion. Those little things are little places where we start to give away who we are and we step out of our truth. We're basically lying to ourselves. And those little moments, they cause us to step out of our authenticity, and over time, they turn into big opportunities that we refuse to step into because we're afraid, again, that someone will discover that we're not perfect, that they'll disapprove of us, they'll dislike us, or they'll reject us. So we have all of these little moments in our lives where we step out of our authenticity all the time. And I'm going to encourage you to start speaking your truth more, owning your creativity and your uniqueness. So when we return, we're going to continue this conversation about being authentically you. Stay tuned. I will be right back.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Know what to do, just can't figure out how to fit it all into your busy life? It doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Ellen Baisberg from Seamless Life. Join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio and learn the how of conscious living. Let me and my guests help make your life seamless.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Sylvia Henderson on the Intuitive Transformation Show on IOM-FM. And before the break, we were talking about being authentically you. And I was giving you just a brief little example of how you can easily disown who you are by giving away an opportunity to express your truth. Is something as simple as where you want to eat dinner at. You know, we tend to do that in these little areas of our life, not realizing that that is really kind of living a lie. If you say, I really don't care, and you do, you're not being honest. And we do this over and over again. How many times have you been in a situation and someone's asked for an idea and the idea pops in your head, but you won't raise your hand or you won't offer it to the group, and then someone else says your idea, and then inside you're like, I had that same idea, that same exact idea. You know, why didn't I say something? The key here is to approve of yourself, like yourself, and accept yourself. These are the three things that are pivotal changers, game changers in regards to you being able to be authentically you, wherever you are, wherever you go, and whoever you are with. The reason it becomes so challenging to be really authentic in all situations is because we're not being authentic with who we are within ourselves. We're judging ourselves very harshly. We're saying things about ourselves that aren't true. We judge our intelligence. We judge the way we look. We judge our articulation. We judge our train of thought. We judge our actions. We judge the actions of the past. We are constantly focusing on what's not great about us. And then when we show up with other people, because we don't want them to find out what we think is true about ourselves, we pretend to be something that we pretend to be what we feel they need us to be in order to be accepted by them. And I talked a little bit about this when I did the show on boundaries. And if you'd like to go back and listen to that, you're more than welcome to. But this is really not about boundaries. This is just really about being exactly who you are, and knowing exactly who you are is absolutely perfect because it is authentically you. Oprah Winfrey said, I had no idea that being your authentic self can make me as rich as I become. If I had, I'd have done it a lot earlier. I find that really interesting. Now, I remember, I don't know if you're familiar with Oprah Winfrey's story, but there was a lot of stigma around, or there were some issues around her first appearances on TV. One was that she didn't look like the stereotypical TV personality. And so she was trying to fit in. She was trying to acclimate to what she felt they needed her to be. And it wasn't until Oprah decided she was just going to be her that her career really started to take off. And this happens for people over and over and over again. It happens in their relationships at work. It happens in their career. It happens in their love relationships. When you meet someone for the first time on a date, if you're not showing up as authentically you, that person's not dating you, they're dating someone else. And eventually, when the real you shows up, they're going to go, who are you? You're not the person I've been dating for the last 3 months, because you can only pretend to not be yourself for so long with someone who you're really close to. But if you just show up as who you are,
connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality, and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, this is Sylvia, Intuitive Transformations radio show, and yes, I overtalked before the break. I have so much I want to share with you, and the show just seems to always go so quickly. So the fourth thing that I wanted to share with you about being authentically you and what that means is that you make decisions based upon what is best for you, not based upon the opinions of others. I had a client come in recently, and she was so sweet, just love her. And but she just really wasn't sure what she wanted to do in terms of where she wanted to live. And she started the sentence off with, someone told me I should go live X, Y. I can't even remember where it was. And I thought, wow. I said, well, where do you want to live? Where do you want to live? And it was like she really felt she needed permission to live where she really wanted to live. And I want you all to know, you don't have to ask permission to live your life. You can make your own decisions. I think it can be a little scary, especially for those who have been raised or who have experienced environments where there was a lot of control involved. It's a little scary then to start making your own decisions, but you can. And there's nothing wrong with seeking wise counsel when it comes to exploring something that you may not have full knowledge or understanding about. For instance, how to invest in stock market, or how to establish money for your retirement, or how to something that is, of course, you want to ask for advice so that you can learn how to do something. But when it comes to making decisions for your life, it's people who live authentically, they make their own decisions. And they feel good about making their own decisions, and they make their own decisions without any concern about what someone else will think. A lot of times people struggle with this, and they will make a decision if they feel it will be approved of by someone other than themselves. This is your life, my friend, and it's the only life you're going to have. Well, I do past life regression. Maybe that's not quite so true, but in this incarnation, this is the only life you're going to have. So it's important that you take care of it, and that you honor it, and that you know that you were entrusted with it because you have full capability to run your own life. And you can make the best decision for you. And that leads me to number 5. Being authentically you means that you also contribute speak up, speak your truth, and you share your opinion with others. We are in a time where we need people to contribute. We need people to be who they are. We need people to stand in their truth and speak their truth. Because every single one of you here on the planet is here by design. You have a unique gift. You have a unique talent. You have amazing insights. Doesn't matter what your situation is in this very moment. Doesn't matter where you live on the planet. Doesn't matter what your income is, how old you are. You are a gift. And it may not be on a global scale. It may be with your next door neighbor. You have the capacity within yourself to create something better than what is, either through art, through your career, through your neighborhood, through your family. Somehow, we all have this unique ability to contribute to the planet, to each other, to consciousness. Utilize that gift within you. People who are authentically being themselves. Being authentically you means that you contribute. You contribute what? Not your resources necessarily. You contribute you. You are your most valuable resource, and that's why you're here. So that's number 5. Now, to wind that all up into a nice tight little bun, number 6, being authentically you means that you trust your intuition. Always, always, always trust your intuition. Trust your gut, trust your hunch, trust you. What happens often is that we get this great inspiration or this idea pops in our head, and then the thinking mind takes over and starts to dismember it and stops us from moving forward because it tells us exactly why that inspiration won't work, why it won't fly, why you can't move forward with it, why that idea is no good. Typically, that's what happens. Not all the time, but typically that is what happens. Trust your intuition, your guidance. That will allow you to have a life that's expansive and that moves forward instead of stifled and stagnant. It will allow you to be more authentically you. Now, and here's a little caveat with being authentically you. Of course, you can't be authentically yourself with everyone immediately. It'll be too much of a shift if you've been very inauthentic in your life as a pattern of behavior. You can't show up all of a sudden and change overnight. This is a process. It's a process for you, and it's a good process for you to move slowly for the sake of those around you as well. So they're not like, whoa, what is this? Why are you like that all of a sudden? But start taking back the real estate of who you are bit by bit over time. If you can think of it like the Monopoly game. If you can end up on Boardwalk and go ahead and put a hotel there, but be you wherever you can. Start small. Maybe it's just when someone asks you, where do you want to eat? You actually tell them where you want to eat, even if it's clear across town. Start saying no when you don't really want to do something, instead of wanting to just be nice and saying yes, when inside you're like, I'm going to do what I think I should do in order for them to like me, instead of saying no because I'm really tired and exhausted and I don't want to do it tonight. These are things that will help you move in the direction of owning more of you. I want to read a few quotes. Brene Brown, who is a shame researcher, she had this wonderful TEDx talk that you can still, if you Google Brene Brown TEDx talk, it's phenomenal, and it's on vulnerability. It's something I think everyone should watch over and over again. It's not something you just watch once. There's a wealth of information and knowledge in there. And she says, Here's a quote from her book, Daring Greatly. She's also the author of several books. This one is called Daring Greatly. How to courageously be vulnerable. And the quote is, because true belonging, which is what we all really want, only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. And that was that piece I was talking about earlier. Accept all those bits and parts of yourself that you want to deny exist. And love that too. Eckhart Tolle said, only the truth of who you are, if realized, will set you free. The author of Color of Your Mind, Rachel Arqueles, as you become more aligned with the truth of who you are, the question of liking yourself goes away. It is a natural state of being. Isn't that beautiful? Think of little children. They don't have a problem with liking themselves. It's a natural state of our being. It's our job to become more aligned with the truth of who we are, so that the liking of yourself just goes away. It's when we have to disown ourselves to be what we think we need to be in order to be accepted that makes us think that we're not perfect exactly the way we are. Another quote from Brené Brown. Why, when we know that there is no such thing as perfect, do most of us spend an incredible amount of time and energy trying to be everything to everyone? Is it that we really admire perfection? No. The truth is that we are actually drawn to people who are real and down to earth. We love authenticity, and we know that life is messy and imperfect. And that is the truth. The people we are most drawn to are the people that are real and down to earth. They're not perfect, so why are you spending all your time trying to be that? There is no such thing. That is an illusion. Another one from Brené Brown. Yes, I love Brené Brown. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. And then there's an American poet by the name of May Sarton who said, we have to dare to be ourselves, however frightening or strange that self may prove to be. We have to. We have to dare to be ourselves. Because when we're not ourselves, then we are depriving the world of the gift that we truly are. So as I conclude, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope that I've given you some food for thought. And most of all, I hope that you'll be back to listen to me again next week. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been my great pleasure to share with you my thoughts and feelings about being authentically you. You're important to the planet. You're important to the people around you. Most of all, you're important to you. So love you and be you, because that's what this is all about. Take care and have a fantastic week. Bye-bye for now.